Welcome, everybody, to episode 12, Two Minds, One Podcast. So,
So,
you mentioned you wanted to talk about relationships today.
well, not really. I mean, yes, no particular aspect of relationships, but
No, just like relationships in general of the topic is what it sounded like.
yeah, relationships in general, I feel for a lot of people are sources of great joy and also ultimately sources of great pain as well.
Okay.
Because it's, ultimately people closest to you that say or do things that can hurt you or can make you feel great, right? Versus like in the comparison, a stranger tells you, you're doing a good job versus your mom or your dad tells you you're doing a good job or your significant other tells you you're doing a good job. One carries more weight than the other.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though when you think about it, one might be biased in one stance or unbiased.
So, like, you can't really trust your parents or significant other, is what you're trying to say. Not that you don't trust them. What I'm saying is you don't trust when they say you're doing a good job. You might feel that they're not giving you a true judgment, right?
Yes, there is always the possibility that their internal bias for you as a person, because they like you as a person.
Essentially, they're love goggles.
I wouldn't call it love goggles per se. Like love goggles would be akin to more saying the mom that thinks their baby's really cute and beautiful when he looks like a potato or it looks like a potato. Because let's be honest, most babies when they're born kind of look like potatoes. Very few babies are born,
Okay.
looking handsome, right? Or cute. Just a personal opinion. All of you guys can fight me in the comments about how good your baby looks, but neither here nor there. But more akin to giving more slack, or because you like somebody, you let them get away with more or less, etc., etc. Right?
Okay.
So, but that also can go both ways,
Mhm.
right? Like someone, I know there's definitely the case for someone who likes, for example, like a father who loves his son but is strict on him because he loves his son and is not strict on people that he doesn't love, right? That's also the case too. So
Mhm.
is this biased of relationships can go
It can play out in any direction.
in any direction in both ways,
Mhm.
right? But I did talk to a person today. And they told me that they had been feeling down as of lately because they had broken up with their significant other, right? And while the time with that person was short lived, right? I believe it was less than 6 months, right? If I'm remembering correctly,
Mhm.
it was that person's first everything, right? So your first love.
Mm.
Everybody remembers their first love, or the person at least they thought was their first love, if not, and if you're one of the lucky few who, ended up marrying your first love or, still together with your first love, that's always, congratulations, right? It is very often, though, that is not the case, which is why there are plentiful of movies that are bittersweet and shows and novels and poems of young love, first love, right? And so, the person was telling me how it's crazy how a person can be in your life for such a short amount of time, right? Like you have your entire life prior to this person, and then they come in, and then now, right, after they've come into your life and left,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how much of an impact that can leave on your life, a lasting impact. The person, specifically
So
an
like a
observation.
lasting impression.
Yes,
in a sense.
specifically, like an
Yeah.
observation that was made was music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and an example could be, you get together with your significant other, they show you a song or a couple of songs or an artist
Or a new gender, or not gender, a
or a
new
genre.
genre of music.
Yeah, and now whenever you hear that genre, that music, that artist, that song, you instantly associate it with that person,
Yeah,
right?
but I feel
Versus like when your friend shows you a
that
new song and you're like, yeah, it's a cool new song.
yes, but I think you're associating it. I think we do that due to the 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 pain.
It's the pain, and
It's the pain of
it's the
the breakup
feelings.
or of the separation,
It's
right?
the
It's the
feelings,
feelings.
but it goes both ways. It goes good ways, right? Like
But I
I'm
mean,
sure, because I'm sure, like when you get married and
well,
your dance you
have you
have
ever?
with your significant other,
True, true.
right? Like you remember that
Well,
song
what if you
fondly.
think about it in the sense of with your friend, that song doesn't do that because you're still friends. But what about a friend that you're no longer friends with? A song that they showed you, you might remember that person because you're no
Yes,
longer friends.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Garage band paused.
so,
Pause. Okay, look at me. Yes, yes. When your friend shows you a song and you're no longer friends with that person, or that person has moved away or is no longer as involved in your life, it is definitely something that can trigger a memory, right?
yeah, I mean, because it's a relationship, right? So I think it's the pain that triggers that pain that comes from having that person who introduced you to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you remember. How did I find this genre of music, or how did I find this song?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's this song, and it might not happen every time you listen to it, right?
No,
But it
no.
might randomly,
Randomly
depending
spot.
on the mood, you just come in and be like, "Dang, it
Depending on
was
how
this
much,
person who was like," and
depending,
how much time has passed
and,
between
yeah,
them.
and how much attention you're paying to the song, and how
Exactly.
preoccupied you are when you are not listening to it. But yeah, and so we discussed how it's interesting how your mind works with relationships and actions and songs and foods and things of that nature
Mm-hmm.
when one is going through that period of breakup or of heartache, right? And the person was telling me it's even foods that remind him of the person, right? And
Foods that were introduced to them.
yeah, exactly, and like all these things and dates and songs
They're
and things.
hypersensitive to it right now.
Right now,
Because
yeah,
they
because
just
it's
broke up.
fresh. Because it's fresh. It's the first
fresh. So,
breakup, right?
and if it wasn't their decision to break up, then it's even
fresher. It's even worse.
It's even worse.
Right? But I told them that it's okay to be feeling all of that. That is a part of relationships. That is a part of being open to being vulnerable to another person,
Mm-hmm.
which is far too often something that is not done, especially in our day and age now. A lot of people put up a lot of walls, right? Which not lacks, but it interferes with creating that genuine human connection with people. And this could be not only with your significant others, but with your friends, your family, your siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
What do you think that comes down to?
I think it comes down to the natural instinct of the human mind to avoid pain. Because hear me out. I have a theory on this.
Okay. Okay.
So, physical pain that you can see and feel, you cut your hand, you smack your toe, you step on a Lego, you can feel that.
That's the worst.
You can feel that. Like it is a visceral feeling of pain, of burning, of needles, of pain.
But you know that's temporary.
Yes, you know that's temporary, but you grow up falling, cutting yourself, sticking your hands in places they shouldn't be, touching hot things. You have a lot of experience with physical pain,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's not very often that you experience emotional pain. If you have a relatively normal, typical life that is not one of extreme hardships or extreme heartaches, where like you're 6 years old and your parents die, of traumas, of just events that happen that require more emotional response to things, right? If you have, you grow up, you go to school, you go to middle school, you go to high school, and you have two parents that work a job, and you have siblings, right? A lot of the times you're not going to really experience a lot of emotional heartaches. So it's not really until that first big breakup, or that first big falling out with friendships, right, that you thought you were happening, or a loved one dies, that you start to experience this emotional feelings and pain, and it's different, right? I'm sure everyone listening can attribute that an emotional pain
feels like it lasts longer.
It feels an eternity, and it feels like it's self-generated, and it's not as tangible as a physical pain where you can see the progress. I broke my hand. My hand's in a cast for 6 months. I'm in physical therapy. I see it gaining muscle back. I see myself gaining dexterity back in my hand. Like, there is no visual indication of emotional healing, right? There's just the pain that you feel, and that makes it significantly more difficult because you have no progress bar and no reference point for what it should feel like, or what it, and it's different, right?
I mean, everybody feels it. The emotional pain is something that everyone feels differently, right? I feel that the reason we put up walls after that is we lose trust. We talked about this in another episode. Trust, right? The trust to give somebody 100% of your trust, right?
Yeah,
like, and after being hurt or having that trust broken,
you don't want to experience that again, and such you put up walls, right? Which is a reflexive response, and
it's also a bad thing.
But it's also sometimes an intentional response.
Oh no! For some people,
it's reflexive, as in unintentional, as in
some people. I'm never gonna trust somebody 100% again.
Exactly, because of how badly they were hurt.
I will doubt everybody, and you can't. I don't know who I saw, but I saw a video of somebody, and he said, "You gotta go into a relationship, anyone, a business partnership, or an idea, or a deal between two businesses or two people, family, friends, loved ones. You gotta go in knowing the fact that you're gonna trust them 100%. You're gonna give them your full trust, but you also gotta go in knowing that there's a chance that they're gonna break that, and you gotta be okay with that from the beginning. You gotta come to these realizations from the beginning, that there's a likely chance that your trust will be broken and you're going to be hurt.
But there is you have to, I think what you're trying to say is you have to acknowledge the possibility that it may not go as intended, and it may not go as you want it, and that may lead to you feeling hurt.
And the reason he says is because if you don't ever trust like that, you can't build real meaningful relationships.
Yes, you can't build meaningful.
You can't build those lifelong
friendships, relationships.
Yep.
Yes, in order, it's a funny paradox, and in order to feel the great feelings and all the rewarding things that come from being in a relationship, and we're not just talking about a partner, but even friendships, sibling relationships.
Yeah,
you need to be vulnerable, and in doing so, in being vulnerable, there's a higher likelihood of you getting hurt.
Well, yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of the times, people that hurt you the most are the people closest to you. Why? Because you're vulnerable with them, right? And a lot of the times, it's not
I feel it's more.
It's not always the people closest to you that are doing it intentionally to hurt you, right? So I feel like that's where a lot of misconception uh, gets brought up, right?
I
Like,
really
I'm
think
never gonna be, vulnerable with them because they could hurt me.
I think it depends.
It depends how so.
It depends. So your closest ones, your loved ones that you open up with, are the most vulnerable with. They are the ones that can hurt you the worst.
Yes.
Because they know you the best. So they know how. And how to hurt you purposefully.
Yes, but it's not
right?
always purposeful.
No. I'm not saying it is always, but it is sometimes it is hard to distinguish between a purposeful action or not, because like we're brothers. I know you. You know me.
Mm-hmm.
You could get mad at me one day and decide you want to hurt me, right? But you want to play it. You never say it out loud. You never tell anybody that you're going to emotionally hurt me or do something that might, affect me in some way. You just do it, right? And then you're like, I didn't mean to. I could never know if you really did mean to or didn't mean to. I'd have to trust you and take you at your word.
But see, that what you're saying there applies to everyone in life, though.
No.
Not just the people closest to you, because unfortunately there is a lacking communication with the way humans communicate. Meaning we don't understand or know what truly is going on inside of another person's brain. We only know the actions and words that they say, and we have to take those actions and words either at face value or not at face value, and interpret them, right? And then when you start interpreting things, it gets muddier. But yes, right? What I meant to say is that I can do something as your brother unintentionally and hurt you, where hurting you is not my intention.
Yes.
Right? Like, for example, I could be selfish one day and you want to hang out, and I'm like, I don't really feel like hanging out. And then unknowingly, because I didn't want to hang out, I just wanted to do nothing that day, you really wanted to hang out, and I hurt you. Not intentionally, right?
Yeah,
but then that falls into another aspect of relationships, and I heard this really good saying. I don't know who said it, but it's not people that hurt you. It's your expectations you place upon them that hurt you.
Yeah, certain things you're hurt because of what you're expecting.
What you expect from that person.
Yeah.
If the person doesn't live up to your expectations, especially those expectations are unknown,
something
you inevitably hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you, for example, you
expecting a yes but get a no hurts you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for example, you're willing to sacrifice your free time to help your partner, but your partner isn't willing to sacrifice their free time to help you, right? Now, whether that's right or wrong is a completely different thing, but it can hurt you because you expect to receive that
which you give,
right? Which is funny because, unfortunately, unless that statement is said, right, in the relationship, then it will never be known, and that expectation can never be upheld, right? Like, for example, if you go into a relationship with, your partner and you tell them, hey, I'm expecting in this relationship to have clear communication, we're going to have trust, we're going to have honesty, and we're going to compromise, right? Those are clear things that you're communicating. And so, if those things are broken, you have the right to feel upset, right? Because you have clearly communicated to them essentially your terms and conditions of the relationship, right? But if those are never clearly established and you're just operating under assumptions, right, under interpretations, then things become a lot more clear.
Learn that too. I've seen it's better now to not have expectations.
It's not to not have expectations.
No. It's to not have expectations in the sense of you ask But you got to be okay with any direction, any answer.
Yes.
Because you can ask somebody and already have an idea of a yes or no, or depending on what the ask is.
Yes.
If it's going to happen or not happen.
Yes.
Correct. So you got to be okay with both.
Well, it comes back to what you said. When you come into a relationship, you have to understand the possibility that it may not play out the way you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that it may hurt you or not hurt you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And relationships are this.
But there's a lot of things that you can avoid the pain in a relationship if you just don't.
If
like,
you don't what? Give me an example.
Okay. I'll use the example you said. You're willing to, one person in a relationship is willing to give their free time to help the other or assist the other
or sacrifice
sacrifice something, right? But the other isn't, right? That hurts. But you can also look at it, instead of it letting it hurt you so badly that you cause fights, or you instead of, you look at it as, you know what, this might be just something that it's not something that I'm looking for in a person.
Yes,
it could take this more calmly.
So what you're saying is,
and
this,
you're like,
once again, kind of similar to how we talked about the bicyclists and Ironmans. You take this pain that you're feeling, and instead of reacting to it emotionally, you're going to analyze it. And what does it mean? In this sense, if your partner is unwilling to compromise or unwilling to help you with things, the pain you're feeling.
Why does it hurt me that they didn't want to?
Because you want a partner
that is willing to do what I'm willing to do.
And so then your options after that are communicate that, or realize that this partner may not be the one for you, or this one aspect of your partner is something that you're gonna have to either learn to live with or not learn to live with. Right? It comes up to
it's a decision you have to make.
Yeah, decision to make. How much can you tolerate, and what things can you tolerate in a person, and what things can you not tolerate in a person, right? So yeah, and so getting back to, right?
Oh yeah, back to the person you kind of went on a tangent there.
No, it's fine, but they expressed how it's so daunting, the fact that two people that experience the same relationship or spend the same time together, at the end of it, can come out of it feeling completely different. And one person seems to have taken it significantly better than the other, and the other person is sitting there and feeling the feelings that one needs to feel, right? Not inherently wallowing in the sadness, but understanding,
going through the cycle
of not grief, but it's just being sad, being heartbroken, right?
Well, I mean, grief in a sense,
you're grieving of the relationship,
right? Well, I think that's something more along like that they might have gone through that before the decision of separating, right? All of that before they decided to separate. Or the other person, the one who's not feeling feelings, right? The one, because more likely the person who's feeling that is caught off guard. They didn't want the relationship then.
Yes.
Okay. Or, right, in another scenario, the person is just showing a face.
They're faking it. Putting up a wall.
Yeah, they're putting up a wall, like, I'm not going to show you that I'm in pain. Kind of sense. You know what I mean?
That's also very common in our society.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction.
Or not show you that in a weaker position than you.
Yeah, so that is something that we have to look at in that sense that I said right now. What are the reasons that they could not be feeling the same way?
Yeah.
Either they processed it already and then came to the decision to break up because they were okay with it. Or they're just not showing it to me at this time.
Yeah.
Or the third reason, they really didn't care.
Yeah, which is the hardest one to swallow.
Which is the hardest one to swallow. It is.
It is.
But if you just look at it calmly, analyze it, you're going to be like, okay, Nobody's saying you don't have to go through your phases of grief.
Yeah.
And feel the pain, like feel it. It's okay to feel that way.
Yeah, it's a part
You
of.
know?
I told them that it's a part of life. Be happy that you were able to experience the joys of that relationship when they were, the highs.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately,
And look at what you liked and didn't like. What to look for in
unfortunately,
the
it
next
came
one.
to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And look for what you can take from this as a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, a lot of things in life are learning experiences, specifically when it comes to relationships, be it in friendships and in, partner relationships or familiar relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always something to learn, right? About what you like, what you don't like, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, what is respectful, what isn't respectful, how something once said can be perceived,
Mm-hmm.
how you are perceived, right? Things of that nature, right? And obviously, you're going to take everything and you're going to analyze it and you're going to be like, well, they said I need to be nicer. And you say, well, I am a nice person, so I don't think that carries much weight. And you can toss that to the side, right? Or just spend less brain power on it, right? But what they ultimately told me, they said that hurt the most was the fact that, other than the fact that obviously the person was showing anything, the fact that they said that they didn't know what they wanted, the other person, but they knew it wasn't them, which is a really fucked up way of saying, I don't know what I want in life, but I know it ain't you, right? Which is hard to hear as a person, right? Even when you not even put it in the sense of relationships, and you can even scale this into jobs, right? When you interview for a job and you get to the end and you think you're gonna make it, and they're like, we don't know what we want because we haven't hired anybody yet, but we know it ain't you. That hurts.
Well, yeah, because you don't know what about you
is the issue.
Is the issue,
right? And sometimes I told them that it's not you that's the issue. Because ultimately, a lot of the times
it's them.
A lot of the times,
and they just say that.
Yes, a lot of the times
they what is it called?
We blame ourselves for they project.
They project.
Yes, we blame ourselves for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like what could I have done better? Like
Mm-hmm.
I should be better. I need to get better. And sometimes I told them, sometimes it's not you, right? Obviously, there's some learning points, cases that you can learn from this. Take it, learn from it. But sometimes it's not you. Sometimes another person isn't ready, or isn't emotionally mature enough, or it hasn't figured out what they want. And maybe 5 years from now, they can realize what they wanted was you, or wasn't you, or was parts of you, not parts of you, And it's
life.
It's life. And I told them one of my favorite quotes. This one comes from Spock. You guys know Star Trek out there. Star Trek out there. I told them, in life, you can do everything right and still lose. Because unfortunately, it's not fair. You can do everything right. You can be a great son, a great dad, and just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and your life is cut short.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfair.
So life is unfair.
Yeah. You can do you can be in a relationship and do nothing wrong,
but it ends.
And it's hard to understand that. It's hard to
It is hard because you could be
to swallow that pill.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when you understand that, it gives you a little bit of levity to kind of exhale and be like,
because you don't know. It could be you're too mature for the person. Not too mature. In a sense, mature or maybe a little bit further out in
different points of your development. It could be
further in your development of things, realizing what's important, not important, what things that sort of controlling what you want in life or don't want in life.
Yeah.
Right?
Or even just knowing the direction that you want to pursue and not knowing the direction you want to pursue.
Yeah.
And what your priorities are currently.
And they could just be intimidating to the other person because they're not at that point.
Yeah, it's highly possible.
They could be, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know that I
You
want
know,
to get a job.
I
And
feel
then
like
do this.
the I don't know what I want. This is a hot take. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. The I don't know what I want sounds really freaking lazy to me.
Yeah,
And it sounds
like bull.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you haven't given it enough thought.
I feel
Sometimes
when
I feel
it comes
like
to those, when in a relationship they say that I don't know what I want. I feel it's more of most of the time
you don't want to dedicate the time required to figure it out.
It's 90%. Do they know what they want? I'm telling you, I feel this is a personal opinion. This is my thing, right? Because
go ahead.
They do know what they want.
They're just too afraid to say it.
They don't have the courage to tell you what it is, or right? They don't have because they feel you're going to judge them, or because they feel that it's stupid what they want, or it's immature, or whatever, right? The case may be. That, oh my god, it slipped my mind where I was going with this. Oh, they don't want to tell you, or they don't want to hurt you.
Which is funny.
Right? Which is funny. Right?
I feel like a lot of people confuse the truth with hurting people. Because ultimately, the truth isn't... When you tell someone the truth and it hurts, it's not with the intention of... At least I feel. It's not with the intention of causing the person pain. Right? Telling someone the truth is telling them what your truth is, or what the facts are of the situation, right? And then how a person reacts to that stimuli, right, is not within your control. So if I tell you, I think that shirt's ugly, and you start crying, I have no control over why you started crying, right? Bad example, but still gets the point across.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Not really, whatever.
I feel you. It's hard to truths. Look, I believe to tell the truth, and the reason I believe it is, even if the truth hurts, it's a shorter period of time that the truth hurts. Because once you hear because I've heard the truth. I've had the truth told to me, and it hurts because it's something that you might have realized, but were denying it of yourself.
Yeah,
at the time, or truth about yourself. Okay, not like those are the ones that tend to hurt you. Yes. The truth about yourself, or truth about your relationships,
or truths about others that you care about.
Or yes, okay, but truths hurt for a short period of time. They hurt from the moment you hear it to the moment you realize and you accept.
Yes,
that is true.
Yes.
But a lie
can hurt for an eternity.
A lie can hurt for a much longer.
Especially if that lie was dragged out through a significant amount of time.
Yes.
So I do agree with you. I do believe that speaking the truth is the best option. But I do also think that a lot of people don't agree with that. They say they agree with it, like, yeah, I'm gonna tell you the truth, but then they don't, because they're afraid of pain. Wholeheartedly agree with it. The truth is hard.
That shit hurts. It hurts. It hurts.
It hurts to say sometimes, and it hurts to hear.
Yeah, but I think if you really care for somebody, and you truly want to grow yourself as a person,
yeah,
you will tell the person that you truly care about. You will tell them the truth. Because it made hurt, the spike of hurt might be higher initially, but it phases off faster than if you would have lied to them or not told them the truth, right? And if you want to grow as a person, hearing truths about you is painful.
And it's a requirement.
But it is a requirement for you to acknowledge those things in order to be able to start working on them.
Yeah, and the ends of relationships are optimal times to unfortunately hear those hard truths, especially if they're romantic relationships.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you things that you maybe think that you were great at, and turns out you're not, or things that you didn't even know were on your radar that are areas of improvement. And those opportunities, when relationships come to an end, are prime opportunities of growth.
Yeah.
They're going to be hard and they suck, but they're prime opportunities of growth, which is, if you're looking to be a person who is growing and, continually grows throughout their life and fulfilled, right? That is unfortunately a hardship that you must bear to be better, right? I think the saying is, you forge a sword by slamming and hitting it with a hammer, right? Your life and your person is the metaphysical sword, and the hardships that you must hear and endure are the bangings of the hammer. But the end result is a blade that can cut through almost anything, right? And so I do believe that is a requirement. And yet not everyone's hardships will be the same, right?
Well, no.
Some people's hardships might be, hey, you talk too much, or hey, you need to be more respectful, or hey, you're not as good as you think you are at dancing. How could you, right?
Yeah.
And, it's all perspective, and it's all the person, relative to the person. But relationships are interesting because we're the only animals that allow relationships to affect us to the level that they do, right? Because, I'm sure many of you have heard of broken heart syndrome,
Yes.
An elderly couple that one of the partners, dies, and the other one shortly after goes within a month or two or so. Why? Because a lot of the times they have a broken heart, and they feel like they have nothing else to live for, right? And those are very extreme cases, yes.
But I don't think we're the only one. I think we're one of the few.
Yes, one of the few.
Dogs.
Okay, pack animals. Yes, because we are very social animals.
Yes,
as humans, and it's interesting.
And dogs, even with us, I mean, you hear stories of dog owners dying, and then that dog
waiting for them,
or chasing after them, or
looking
the
for them.
Shiba Inu in Japan that kept going to the train station.
Yes.
Right?
Looking for its owner.
Yes. Every day till he died. It might not have been Japan. It might have been here. But those pack animals be. Because dolphins, they also say dolphins.
Yeah, but dolphins are wild, bro. Dolphins rape each other.
Yeah, dolphins. They're
you know what animal?
They're real liberal, or what they say.
Ducks.
They're wild.
Ducks are also wild. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're savages.
I mean, look at penguins. What about penguins? Penguins
are, fun fact, one of the only animals that mate for life.
And then that mate dies.
Never again. It's interesting. People tend to feel like we are so much more evolved than our animal counterparts. They feel like we are a class above, just because we have a different level of cognitive ability and we have mastered science, right, to bend the world to our
needs. Some may say that because of our intelligence, we are stupider in certain areas in comparison.
Yes.
To animals. Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. This is yes, you're touching upon something.
Yeah.
Very true. Statistics and studies have shown that the smarter you are, the higher likelihood you are to deal with depression.
You have to fall into
depression. Right? And the less intelligent you are, the less likelihood it is, right? Because ignorance is bliss, and you also have a smaller scope.
What you don't know doesn't affect you.
Yeah, what you don't know can't hurt you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the ignorance is bliss.
Exactly. You know, it's like you didn't know, for example, back in the 50s and 20s, they didn't know cigarettes would kill you. They told you cigarettes are good for coughs, and you're like, I got a cough. Throw a cigarette. What you don't know,
Don't hurt you.
don't hurt you. But it does hurt you, but you just don't know it does, right?
Yeah.
And so it was very interesting. But yeah, so that conversation ultimately ended with me telling them that this is part of life. You know, learn what you did and didn't like from this, and take that knowledge and make sure you hold on to it when you go into your next relationship to better be prepared, to not make the same mistakes. You know, maybe look for specific characteristics in a person that you like, you know, and it's easier said than done for a lot of people. I know a lot of people tend to have what they call a type, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I find really funny, and I feel like that's just people following the feeling or the vibe of a person and not really analyzing them. Because studies have shown, you know what the number one indicator of a relationship lasting? You know what it is?
What? Communication?
Nope. It's number 2.
Really?
Number 2.
Oh, I wasn't too far off at least. What?
Your goals align.
Your goals align?
Mm-hmm. Your goals
So
and your
essentially
values, your goals and values align
so
with the person.
you're hardcore. Like your
the elements
your
that,
values as a person.
that define you as a person.
I will not cheat people.
Yes.
Or I will not be somebody who's like, yes.
Things that fall in line are the highest indicators of how long a relationship is going to last.
Makes sense. If your values align, you're more likely to support each other.
I feel like it goes deeper than that, though. I feel like if your I feel like if you know your values, you have a deeper understanding of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's many people nowadays that they don't know who they are. They're kind of just like jellyfish. And life is the ocean, and it's happening around them. They kind of just and they float around, and they kind of exist.
It's a pretty good metaphor, by the way.
To exist.
Your best one today.
Thank you. Right? And it's from an anime, specifically from Berserk. Griffith says, I hate those who merely exist to exist. Meaning, if you're going to live in this world and you're allotted the opportunity to be alive.
If you were the one sperm chosen.
Yes, with that one egg, find a meaning for your life. Right? Mm-hmm. Because if you die pursuing the goal for your life, or whatever, it is more meaningful than if you die just merely existing to exist, because you're too afraid of what comes next.
Yes.
Right?
No, I feel
that is why I feel like it's a great indicator for relationship success, because you know who you are, right?
Well, you know who you are.
You know what you want.
So you know your values. You know what you're gonna do and what you won't do. What you're willing to compromise and what you're not willing to compromise. Exactly. And that makes your life easier.
So much easier.
So you're much easier to be happy as a person. And maybe not happy, but content. Right? Because happy is a choice. Happiness, like, you gotta decide to be happy.
Yeah, because unfortunately, guys, let me break the news to you. You can't be happy all the time. Yeah. Because that's not life.
Yeah. But you gotta choose to be happy. Choose to look at the right side, right? But it's easier to do that when you're like, you're not going through life, oh, am I gonna do this if somebody told me to do this? Oh my God, somebody said to do this. Or like, I'm gonna cheat on a test, or like, you're a person like, I'm not cheating. I'm not gonna be dishonest.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna screw somebody over just to make millions. Like, if you are, and the person who you are with, your significant other, also has said values, then it's much easier. Right? Because it's even easier to communicate. You're more likely to communicate. You know what? You're strong on your values. You're
firm.
You're firm. You are a pole in concrete. You ain't moving. You know what I mean? You're the immovable object in that sense. And they are too. You guys can communicate. You're more likely to say, no, that's not happening.
and then explain yourself why.
Exactly.
Yes, but I thought that would be fairly interesting.
That was.
Why. It definitely was not my first guess.
No.
I definitely
Obviously
thought
wasn't
it was going
mine.
to be communication, because I feel like communication is so fundamental to all relationships, not only romantic, because it's
No,
it's one of, if not the only way we interact with each other, and how we can communicate, and how we can
know
tell
what
another
somebody's
person
thinking.
what they're thinking.
So I feel maybe in romantic relationships, values make the number one, but between the other relationships,
like platonic and familial,
and business and other things, it might be tied with communication.
Yeah,
You know,
but
because
I mean, when you think about it, though, you're not gonna associate with someone that
doesn't have the same values as you,
so it still falls into play.
Yeah, that's why I said they're about the same in that sense. I think it plays more in a relationship, maybe, or maybe
it gets muddied, because when it comes to business, you may not agree with this person's lifestyle and their values that they hold outside of work, but inside of business/work,
they might have the same values.
They have the same values as you, and so they're a useful asset to your enterprise.
That's so rare, though, for somebody to have a different set of values for business versus their life.
But it happens.
It does. But it's most likely to happen that they have the same.
7 billion people. Almost 8 billion people. Yeah. Also, random fun fact for you guys. The fact that there's 8 billion people on the planet, nearly 8 billion people, means that right now, alive in the world, your genetically identical twin exists. Just out of the possible combinations and permutations of facial features and body and stuff. So you got a doppelgangers out there. Just letting you know.
That's wild.
Just letting you know. Statistically speaking.
Well,
whether it's 100% true or not.
Yeah.
Statistics is all probability, right?
Yeah.
But I thought that's pretty interesting. But yeah, relationships are messy a lot of the times. And funny enough, it's something that we always seek out as humans, right? Like, you grow up and you go to school, and you don't know anybody. And the first thing you start doing,
right?
The first thing you start doing is trying to build those relationships.
And, we're I've always used it similar to
so
canines.
Yes.
We're a very pack animal society, like small.
But speaking of pack animal, yes, historically we humans have been pack animals in the sense that we survived in Africa and in the wild by huddling together, to borrow from a fantastic movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Apes together strong. We are the apes, right?
Yes.
But in this day and age, more and more people feel lonely. In a world where we are more connected than ever, there has been a shocking increase in depression, anxiety, isolation, right?
That's also more knowledge, so more people are smarter.
Yes, but I also feel like it's a direct correlation to how we interact with people. Because the average person on Facebook has like 250 friends.
Definitely.
But you can't really communicate.
They're not real communication.
You can't keep up with 250 people.
No.
The studies show you can keep up with 6 to 8 people. I'm talking meaningful relationships in your life. 6 to 8 people.
That's why people are hitless, because they're so. People connect, and they try to connect with people they inspire to be instead, or people they think are where they want to be on social media and all that other stuff, instead of trying to make real connections to people you can actually talk to and learn from in person.
Yeah, I also feel like social media has a bad rap of people are always going to show you the story that they want to show you,
which is true.
It's worse than face-to-face communication. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's social media. A lot of times, just a narrative people are selling you.
Yeah, no, that's all it is nowadays. It's not. It's not really connection anymore. It's
It's a narrative.
persona.
It's a persona.
Your online persona.
Exactly.
But that's something we can touch on some other time.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh. I
What?
have something to talk about next week. Speaking of online personas.
Yeah.
Speaking of online data.
Ooh, sounds juicy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'll be for next week.
Yes.
That's all we have for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment. We'd like to read it.
If you guys have any relationship stories that you'd like to tell us about, whether they be falling out with family, friends, loved ones,
how you resolved it, how you got through it,
what you learned, your first love, things of that nature, let us know. We'd love to hear it. We'll tell you our first stories as well in the comments below. So if you guys want to like and share, it'd be much appreciated. If you learned something, I'm glad you learned something.
Till next week.
See you guys next week.